management for Nigeria owned, and for Nigerian clinical landscape. We discussed all of these, and today we are going to be discussing something else that is going to build us up in the Nigeria clinical research. And we are considering from medicine to research, a doctor's experience in clinical research. And one of our doctors who we are going to be interviewing today is here, is very, very much available. And it's so wonderful meeting with him now face to face, though still virtual anyways. Okay, so I'm going to introduce to us Dr. Olufemi Ajayi. He's a clinical fellow with NHS, and he's a doctor who has explored clinical research here in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. So we're going to be asking him a few questions. We're going to be asking him a few questions so that we can harness really and explore clinical research in Nigeria from his eyes. Yes, so join me to welcome Dr. Olufemi Ajayi. To make this very interesting, I would like us to make use of our chat. Yes, if you want to ask questions, please make use of the chat. If you want to interact, please make use of the chat. If you want to express your excitement, make use of the emoji. Please feel free to do that. So join me to welcome Dr. Olufemi Ajayi. You're welcome, sir.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. And it's actually a pleasure to come share my little experience with everyone. Thanks very much. And to be a very interesting and interactive session. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, you're very welcome, sir. Please, could you just introduce yourself briefly? Tell us who you are. Tell us how you a brief summary of how you are, how you got to where you are presently, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. My name is Femi, as she has said. I'm a medical doctor by training, and I've had the privilege to not just practice medicine, but also involved in clinical research, both in Nigeria and in the UK. I've worked as a doctor, which is my primary calling, and I've also worked, apart from working as a physician, I've worked also as a research physician, and I've worked also as a monitor, as a clinical research associate in the research industry. And I think I've had the privilege of being involved in different research and trial, from infectious disease to oncology to CNS to medical devices, and it's been an interesting and eye-opening journey. And I think that's one of the reasons why, when I was approached to have this talk, it was really exciting, because most of what we use locally are actually researched and sourced abroad, which to me it's actually unfair. I think local problems need local solution. So thanks for having me once more. And as I said earlier, I hope it to be an interesting section. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That covers a lot. That's a very good summary. Thank you so much. So this webinar is for.
Okay, hi. Let me quickly jump in here. Femi, hi.
Hello.
How's it going? Thank you so much for doing this for us. I really appreciate it. I know you are extremely busy. So just to add a bit to Femi's background, my name is Ajayi. I'm sure you've all heard from me previously from the webinars that we've done. I and Femi worked closely together on one of his the studies, and he was a CRA at that time. And for me, it was very interesting, because you see, when some doctors want to go through this route, they don't think that, having that experience as a monitor at site is beneficial to them. But Femi did all of that, which was brilliant. And I think it added, additional feather to his cap, because now, if he's relating, even when he becomes like a medical monitor and it becomes, a full research fellow, it's gone through that whole experience, it's done that whole tracking process along with the monitors as well. So there's nothing that will be new. So for me, one of the reasons why I wanted us to all hear from him is because he's done the nitty-gritty. He's doing the beautiful one in terms of okay, I'm a doctor, but he's also gone down the pathway of being a clinical research associate, which is like the nitty-gritty of being a clinical research, monitoring all of the aspects, data, all sorts of things. So, Femi, thank you so much for doing this. You're welcome, and I'm really looking forward to this this discussion today. All right, I'll get back to you. Thank you.
Sorry, and just to add, she was my Oga. She did not put that. she didn't put that. She was my Oga. That's just by the side. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, and it's actually a pleasure to come share my little experience with everyone. Thanks very much. And to be a very interesting and interactive session.
Yes. Okay, you're very welcome, sir. Please, could you just introduce yourself briefly? Tell us who you are. Tell us how you a brief summary of how you are, how you got to where you are presently, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. My name is Femi, as she has said. I'm a medical doctor by training, and I've had the privilege to not just practice medicine, but also involved in clinical research, both in Nigeria and in the UK. I've worked as a doctor, which is my primary calling, and I've also worked apart from working as a physician, I've worked also as a research physician, and I've worked also as a monitor, that's a clinical research associate. In the research industry. And I think I've had the privilege of being involved in different research and trial, from infectious disease to oncology to CNS to medical devices. And it's been an interesting and eye-opening journey. And I think that's one of the reasons why when I was approached to have this talk, it was really exciting, because most of what we use locally are actually researched and sourced abroad, which to me, it's actually unfair. I think local.
Okay, so you mentioned something earlier that local problems needs local solutions. So, in your view, what do you think are the key challenges that you have observed in healthcare system over the years in Nigeria? What are the local problems you think we've had over the years in Nigeria?
Okay. Yeah. I would. Thanks for that. I will explain this in different using different concepts and in different perspectives. First, I would say in Nigeria, we talk about health determinants a lot, but we don't really associate those health determinants to healthcare itself. And when I mean health determinants, I mean all the social and economic factors that actually plays into the healthcare system. Now, the truth is that to make the healthcare system effective, there should be priority in research. To also ensure that these determinants influences healthcare in a positive way, we should also research in those areas, how it benefits us as a people, and how that translates to the healthcare industry. That's the first key factor I've seen we lack. The second is patient-centered care. Now, for you to effectively do or apply the so-called patient-centered care, which we claim we practice in Nigeria, you must research. It's not a concept in the sky. It's a concept you learn from researching your patients, taking data from your patients, hearing what the patient actually wants, which we don't do over there. We just have it on paper that it's patient-centered care. But how will you do a patient-centered care when you don't even have the data to implement that patient-centered care? And how do you get the data? It's from research. So I'm trying to say that research, clinical research, doesn't just mean trials. It's all encompassing. It's beyond clinical trial. It has to do with so much more than trials. Another key problem is that where the world is moving towards now is telemedicine, remote medicine, and for an example of that is during the COVID-19, when other countries were actually trying to improve their healthcare, use the opportunity of telemedicine to actually improve lives. We actually nowhere to be found. Another key factor I see is data. It's in data. Now, there is no healthcare without data. That's why sometimes I don't understand the type of healthcare we practice. Some states have actually tried to make this implement data, and I know that because I used to work for the state government before I went into NGO, then research, then left. So some states are actually trying, but no data, no healthcare, no data. Then another key problem is the collaboration of the healthcare workers. And when I mean collaboration of the healthcare workers, it comes from the the professionals, the middlemen, that's the consumers, and the professional bodies like the regulators and everything. There's actually a disproportionate between the services from the professionals to the consumer and from the policymaker. So I think overall there are lots of things we can learn, and the best way to learn it is through clinical research.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The last point you made mention of, you said the healthcare professionals themselves. Do you think that they are actually enlightened enough, or do you think that they have some misconception and they don't know their roles and responsibilities when it comes to clinical research? Ignorance could actually play a part. So what do you think about our healthcare professionals? Do you feel there's a misconception or something needs to be done about them first, like meeting with them first, then there's a translation to the populace and educating everyone else?
Yeah, that's a very, very important question. Now, just to state, when I say healthcare professionals, I don't mean doctors alone. There are loads of healthcare professionals in the hospital, and if like over here in the UK, you know that doctors are actually one of the least in the healthcare professionals. We have the healthcare managers. There's so many healthcare professionals. Now, there are loads of misconceptions from your questions, and I will just name a few. The first misconception is that clinical research is for academicians or for scientists. No, it's for everyone. As long as you're in the healthcare sector, as long as I'm looking for the right word, as long as you actually use the healthcare facility, as long as you have something to do with the healthcare system, whether as a consumer, whether as a professional, everyone is involved in clinical research. It's not for academicians alone. It's not for scientists alone. The second misconception, especially from the professionals, is that clinical research has to do with drug trials. Yes, drug trial is a part of clinical research, but it's just a part. As I said, it's a part of clinical research. There are other parts of clinical research where everyone can tap into, from epidemiological studies. It's a part of clinical research. Health system strengthening is a part of. It's a branch where research can be done. Quality improvements, which over here they ring it into our brain. Improvement and the six, I think 5, 6, or 7 aspects of it, which audit is one, is part of clinical research. Another misconception, especially in Nigeria, is that clinical research is for the big institutions. We all know our healthcare system is divided between primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now, we have that misconception that the tertiary system is where the research should go on. No. Research should be clinical research, not just drug trials. All the branches of clinical research should actually involve each tiers of the hospital. From primary, which is closer to the people, where we can take into cognizance the culture of the people, what is really relevant to the people, to the secondary, to the tertiary. So all these aspects of clinical of the hospital of the clinical world should actually be involved in the study. Another misconception, and this I experienced personally in Nigeria, was that clinical research is risky, and the patients are usually used as guinea pigs. Now, the clinical research world is highly regulated, and there is a strong emphasis on ethical issues, on ethics. Now, I know in Nigeria there have been all sorts of ethics problems and there are some trials but believe me, the clinical research world is really regularized. So no patient. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sorry, my stuff was rolling. So no patient would actually be used as guinea pigs. On the other hand, it's before you enter a clinical research, clinical trials. That's as a patient, as a subject. I don't use the word subject, so I'll be using patient. As a patient, you must be well informed,
Yeah,
and you should consent for it. And at any stage, you have the right to withdraw from it. So, and I have worked as a monitor, as I emphasized, and my work as a monitor is to ensure all the regulatory, ethical
Compliance.
policies, SOPs are actually put into place in every institution. That was that was one of my jobs. So yes, we have loads of misconception, but I feel overall with this type of gathering, adequate sensitization of the healthcare workers, of the populace, we would actually help to bridge this, because the truth is that local solution needs, and local problems requires local solution. No one is coming to act as savior for us. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and that was very enlightening. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's say I am a doctor now, and I want to go into clinical research. I don't have the slightest idea of what to do first, who to go first. Even if I want to check online, what do I search for? How do I transcend from being just a resident doctor, to being a researcher doctor? I don't know if that word makes sense.
You know, like this question you just said, like I was once in that part where I was confused. Then I think I had opportunity of working with London School of Hygiene on a trial on head injury. The use of antifibrillatics on accident victims with head injury. It was a CNS study, and that was my first. That was actually, I think that was my first opportunity to work in research, and I thank my MDs and co then for bringing me on board. So I think the first thing you need to do is to understand why you want to go into clinical research first. That's it. Because it's a different world from clinical practice, or it's a different world from clinics. And I'm saying clinics because not only doctors are into clinical research, nurses, healthcare managers, which Ajayi was my manager. Sorry, I like saying that. She was a nice manager. So there are loads of people in the clinical research, but I'm going to speak as a doctor because that's the one I experienced. The first thing is to equip yourself with the good clinical practice. That's a GCP guideline. Now, I think if you study the GCP, the good clinical practice guidelines, you would understand what research is, and that's just the truth. Because looking back, I found out that most of the things I learned when I did the course, because I've taken the course like 3 or 4 times now, updating myself. The first time I took the course, I really didn't understand. It was when I was in the job. That's when I knew that majority of what I read is what I'm using right now. So that's the first thing. Update yourself or equip yourself with good clinical practice. It helps a lot. 2, the world is a global village. Everything is on YouTube. Everything is on YouTube right now. I think the next thing I did was I went to YouTube. I have some nice links, and I took a course. I think it was like an 8-hour video. I watched the video very well, and I learned what it takes to be a clinical research person. Now, depending on what you want to do, because in the clinical research world, there are so many fields you can tap into. You can either be a monitor, which I have worked in. You can be a clinical research doctor, which I have worked in. You can be in the lab. You can be admin. You can be what else? You can be in manufacturing. You can be in quality improvement. There's so many. So first, you need to decide which of those branches you want to. But as a healthcare worker, as a doctor, GCP is very important. You need to um, equip yourself. I watched loads of videos on YouTube. Then you need to speak to people who are already in that field. They will
Yes.
definitely, that will really help you. Like seriously, I don't think I've told Isaiah before. I learned a lot from her. Her and one other of my managers, because they were more experienced in years than I then, and I was able to tap from them, not just clinically, because they understood administrative, they understood
Mm,
lab, they
yeah.
understood quality improvement. So and to be a good clinical research person, you need to understand all this, all this.
Mm,
Then the next step is start applying, apply, apply. With each interview, with each
okay.
interview, you get better. And trust me, it's interesting. Clinical research is very interesting.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't know, was there a challenge in particular for you when it came to you moving from um doctorship to clinical research? Was there a particular challenge that you think, okay, this could be a universal problem, and how did you tackle it?
I think the first problem problem I encountered was experience.
Oh, okay.
Was experience, and for you to get into the field, they most institution, even most institution, expect you to have experience. Now, even as a doctor, for you to be enrolled as a principal investigator, as a research clinician, they 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 want to know that you have the experience. Now, how do you have the experience if you have not done it before? That's where we try and bridge it by either studying or tapping the
Yeah.
brain from those that are there already. Already, I know. Here in the UK, they loads of the trials. Every trial in the UK requires a PI, that's a principal investigator, or a monitor, all that. So, and usually, before they pick you up, before you're taken as a monitor or as a research physician, or otherwise, your CV is actually very important. Everybody wants to know the number of trials you've done, the number, the amount of trials you've done. But like I said, the more interviews you do, the better you become. And it's a good thing right now that um, back back in Nigeria, we're trying to expand the clinical research industry, and
Mm-hmm.
that will actually give people leverage, and
Yes.
it will actually help one get that required experience. In Nigeria, I worked in a CNS study, I worked in an oncology study, I worked in an infectious disease study in Nigeria before moving to the UK. And in the UK, my first job was actually was in clinical research, and the experience I used was what I got in Nigeria. So I think um, it's the from my own part, it was the the issue, the first issue I had was just bridging that gap from clinical into research. But the good thing is that if you work in an hospital, even in Nigeria right now, there are research going on in different hospitals, but you might not know about it if you don't ask. If you don't ask, you won't know. I got to know about the London School of Hygiene research because I took that bold step to go ask my MD. I'm interested in this. When it comes up, let me know. And when one came up, called me. Do I still want and that? So if you don't ask, there are lots of researches going on in Nigeria. There are lots of CROs coming to Nigeria right now to try and recruit doctors, lab technicians, pharmacists to help run trials. it's actually happening in Nigeria. But if you don't act, you will just stay in your lane and continue doing your Lord's work.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. So building relationships is essential, actually.
Awesome.
Very, very essential. Okay, thank you so much. Let's just divert a bit. I know you've been hearing about some policies that would not favor clinical research in low and middle income countries, and of which Nigeria is like we are top on that list. So how do you think this is going to impact clinical research in Nigeria?
Sorry, I think my stuff was cracking. Can you just repeat the question?
Okay, so we have some policies now that, most clinical trials in Nigeria are supported with grants from the Western community. Yes, and of these policies that now begin to say that the low and medium income countries would not have access to some of these fundings anymore, and the likes. How do you think this can impact Nigeria and our healthcare system?
The first thing I'll say is that it's actually a call to step up as Africans, as Nigerians, because we cannot from these other countries. Research are actually done on Africans or on Nigerians, but not with. And it's
But I really need you to explain that it is done with Africans, but not. Please, could you just
it is done on us and not done with us? And clinical research is all about equity and fairness. That's what clinical research is: equity and fairness, and ensuring that every population and every, what's the word now they use, every population and every minority group, that's group. Every group is actually reached or influenced. That's what clinical research is all about. Now, if you don't contribute to the table, you won't sit where the big boys are sitting, and they would determine or dictate what you get. They would rather use you as the lab guinea pigs. I'm trying not to use that. So from your question, I think right now where the funds have been cut, unfortunate, because Nigeria, ourselves. That's just the truth. Because, like I said, Africa, it's as a continent compared to the world, we are genetically diverse and unique from the rest. When a trial is done, and is done in the Western world, they actually try to understand their uniqueness. They use their profile doing their own research. Then when using their profile for their research, they now bring it for us to consume, which our genetic structure and makeup is different from there, but we are consumers. We consume it.
If you remember our first webinar, this was one of the things we raised. And what we said was that the protocols are not written for us.
Yeah.
The protocols are not written with the ethnic groups in mind. Protocols are written specifically for the Caucasian community. It's not deliberate, it is by design. And the interesting thing is that people have actually not seen it from this perspective. Everybody's always talking about, ethnic minority, blah, blah, blah. I said, this is clear profiling from the start. I was at a conference last week, and somebody did the whole ethnic diversity spiel, and they had all that usual jargons and everything. I just raised my hand and I simply said, your protocols are not written for us.
For us, yeah.
If you want to do anything, if you are really into, it's a simple procedure, it's a simple process. Write a protocol and expect that you are capturing groups from Africa, from Eastern Europe, from Asia. Write it all. And then say you have selected countries across the whole world. And then come back to the authorities and say, unfortunately, we did not find this population when we went to Nigeria, but we made provisions for them. Let it be already in the protocol. Now, what you have is that it's a corporate thing, because when President Biden was there, President Biden was doing all this diversity and ethnicity and whatever. So everybody carried the flag and was doing the campaign. Now our guy that's there says no more DEI, so everybody shut it down. And then the true colors are coming out because people are like, we don't want to waste our money on these people. Yes, I know people don't like the truth, but the fact is that we are always seen as these people. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, and the reason why I omitted myself, and I'm sorry, I'm going to shut up in the next 5 minutes. The fact is that Femi hit the nail on the head. I know a lot of campaign is going on that, oh, they've taken away our fundings, that, but we have money. If only the fundings that we are sitting down, we are expecting, because this funding is not even going to the right places. One politician will take it and buy house for his side chick and use the remaining to pay school fees for his children. The fundings does not go anywhere. So let them take the funding and keep it. We don't even want it anymore. Now let's start looking at us getting that money from inside and raise it, and people should start stepping up.
Yeah.
I remember years and years and years ago when we used to call them new generation banks then, because the banks we had initially, people like Joke and Co, because they are younger than us, we are a little old. You can see our gray hair. The banks we had there were First Bank, Union Bank, UBA, AfriBank, and Co. They were the big giants. And then they just felt that things will not change. Suddenly, people like Tony Elumelu, Fola, Adeola, and Co, they came up with the trust banks. So you now have Standard Trust Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, and Co, and all of them, Fountain Trust Bank, all sorts of banks. And the story I heard was that it's only 6 people in the whole of Nigeria that funded all these banks. So there are people that have the money. They have the money. They just have to have the justification that everything Femi's been saying. I mean, you would think I actually gave him a script to respond. He's saying exactly the same thing that we are all saying, that look, we don't need anything else other than for us to sit down and solve local problems with local content. You can't expect that the Oyibo man that eats salad every day understands my system, that I pound cassava. It doesn't work. Digesting lettuce or cabbage is 5 minutes. Digesting eba will take 3 whole hours and you are still not done.
Exactly.
And that will still require some major biomarkers in your system for you to be able to do that. So if nobody is thinking about, and they can't think about it simply because they don't know it, and they're not even going to try. So we that now have this experience, why don't we just get up and start to apply ourselves, which is why we are doing all these webinars, trying to bring people out. And you will see we went to bring Femi because in a simple state, he can tell us as it is. It's not a political thing. We just want to make sure that people are getting the information that they need. And we have to start from ground up. And somebody says to me, oh, Nigeria is corrupt. I say, yes, Nigeria is corrupt, but we can run a parallel race along that corrupt line. Eventually, you run ahead of corruption and corruption will recede. Until we start to do that, we are not ready. So thank you. I'm going to shut up and shut down now. But thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, yes, so that is so true. That is so true about the Nigeria economy. So let us just assume that suddenly our government decide to do fundings a lot, to release a lot of funding, and we have a lot of people trying to pump money into clinical research. I want to take you back to what happened in 1996 about the Trojan, the Pfizer Trojan saga.
Mm.
Even though it's been a very long time, it's still fresh in our memory like it was yesterday. So let's say we get all of these fundings. You've done clinical research here in Nigeria before. How do you think that we can bring the underrepresented people out? It's going to be difficult to come to an Hausa man and tell him that, okay, now we want to conduct clinical trials.
Right.
And to speak with a woman or to speak with the same woman about our child, how do you think we can bring this everybody out? Because all hands must be on deck, from the government down to the grassroots. So we that are the grassroots, how do you think you can convince us to come out and, yes, we are the grassroots. How do you think you can convince us that you're underrepresented? Come out now that there is funding. Come out and let us be inclusive. Thank you.
I have a mentor, and what he always say is popular, but I don't want to mention his name here. Is the problem in Nigeria is not policy; it's just implementation of those policies. We have loads of policies. We have well-written laws that can actually tackle this problem. The problem is we are not ready to tackle it. So the first thing is ensuring good policy. Mm? And when I say policy now, I mean inclusivity in the policy. You don't go to the north and make a policy without including those people, the people there. They will not agree. You don't come to the south and take a, how do I call it, a blueprint policy that you've used to implement something in the north and you bring to the south and you think it will work. It will not happen. What is done in civilized countries that they have a template. When they now go to the grassroots, they involve the people and they make a policy that is suitable for that people, ensuring everything across board is there is equity and fairness across board. But we are not ready to do that. So the first thing is to ensure policy is inclusivity in policy. Two, when it comes to research, um, regulation is very important. Regulation, when it comes to regulation, ethical, there is no clinical research without ethics. So, and when there's a breach of ethics, there's a breach in the link of the research. When one part is dishonest, that study is futile. So regulatory and ethics is very important. And who does the regulatory or the regulation? It's the government. It's the government. And before a regulation can be done, the people who would benefit from it has to be involved. Three is community engagement. For like the research the trial the Trovan trial 1996, I think 1996 in Kano. I think the people they have to be involved. They have to know why they are doing the trial and what it will benefit them. The whole concept of clinical trial or clinical research is to benefit the people. No one else. Is the people is for the people, not for the government, not for the companies who will definitely make the money, or the government who will definitely make the money, but the end game is the people. So you have to communicate with people, engage with people, and be sure they want it. That's why in clinical trial we do what we have what they call informed consent. Before I go into a trial, I have to know why I'm entering this trial, I have to be well informed. I have to know what I will benefit from it. If I won't benefit, I won't go. And I have to know that at any stage, I can withdraw. Even if you've spent all your money on me, I can say I am not doing. In the UK, I don't care the money you spent on your trial. When the subject patient says he is not doing, he is not doing again. So, because I think Ajayi wants to add.
What you said that it's educating people effectively and for the patients to make sure that you need to inform the patients clearly, and just the fact that yes, you can withdraw at any time. But obviously, education of both the professionals and the patients in Nigeria is something that we have seen that is really lacking. Because and that's why again we want to try to continue to do things like this so that people are informed, and community engagement is a big thing that you've said in terms of the community being anyway. If we go down lane, we won't finish this conversation today. Don't worry.
Okay, and
we will go back.
And just to add, and most importantly, data. Data is very important in clinical research. As we're engaging the community, we need to take data on what they want, the number of people, and how it actually help the people. And in every way in clinical research, when you're communicating with people, you have to communicate in the language or in the means they understand locally, and that will be very important. Yeah, I can't hear you. You're muted. Sorry.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, and that brings me to say this quickly. So, UCTSS, United Clinical Trial Support Services, which is the host for this webinar, we are looking at having a workshop in November for students for day one and for professionals for day two, so that at least we can share with the world the basics of what they need, the basics of clinical research, the ethics, how they need to go about community engagement, and all of this. So I think we are really doing a good work at bringing Nigeria to a place where we can say catch them young for the students that are just coming out of school and the professionals as a whole. Thank you very much. So you mentioned data. You mentioned data. We know that now tech is taking over everything. Tech is everywhere. You see technology everywhere. So, what is your take on the use of tech when it comes to, like, from your own lens? How do you see these technologies helping patient care? How do you see tech impacting patient care positively or otherwise, or almost?
I think I would say personally there are lots of benefits to the use of tech AIs in patient care in clinical research. There are drawbacks definitely, but the benefit actually outweighs the drawbacks. And some benefits could be, improve. It helps to improve access to care, and in the form of telemedicine, trying to reach the rural or the underserved community. And um, and right now with the whole telemedicine tech and everything, you can actually help understand what the underserved community actually need, and implement your research or your healthcare or your health system towards their need. Um, Another benefit is early detection of different diseases and early prevention of of the disease. And another use of tech is what we're doing right now, is teaching and impacting knowledge to different cadres of healthcare workers without actually sitting in a closed wall. And what you said your group is doing in November is part of the of the importance or advantages of tech to clinical research. And cool. Part of the drawbacks, I'll just mention like one. First is equity and digital divide. In Nigeria right now, that's an issue. Equity and digital divide. The access to tech, someone that stays in Lagos has is different from someone that stays in Jos. No, Jos is sorry. Jos is a very. I was about mentioning this a town in Jos, but it's different from the access one in a remote village has, and so there's actually that digital divide or inequity when it comes to tech. But hopefully, with 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 how like call this with the hopefully the government will actually try and because actually for clinical research to for clinical research companies like yours to actually have a good grip in Nigeria, the government has to actually be involved and make the foundation very how I call it very easy for companies like you guys. Then very importantly is one of the drawback is data privacy and security. I think it's a big issue in Nigeria, which we don't really talk about. We shy away from it. No one's data in Nigeria is private. Thank you. You're muted.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much. That last statement, no one's data in Nigeria is safe. No one's data in Nigeria is private. Like you give. Let me share something that happened sometime. I went for an interview, and I wrote an exam, and they didn't get back to me. But suddenly, I got a phone call from someone, and the person was like, "Are you this?" Mentioned my name, my phone number, and some details. And I was like, how did you get this? And the person asked me, is this your WhatsApp line? I said, yes. He said, I'll send you a document. And he snapped the paper I wrote, the exam I wrote. And I asked him where he got it. Just guess where he got it from.
From maybe Suya Malam.
It's granite and popcorn. He bought it. He bought, and I was shocked. Like I was shocked. So now that is just a simple one. Now imagine something that you really don't want people to hear about, and it is already everywhere. That's true, and that is why for our UCTMS is United Clinical Trials Management System. We ensure that nothing goes out of the system without us knowing. We would know, and that is why your consent, the consent you're giving to us, is going to be strictly anonymous.
Yeah,
very anonymous. So that's a good one. Thank you very much. So before I ask,
sorry, just to mention, I forgot this very important group in clinical research, data management. It's very important, which you just said.
yeah.
Data management, very important.
Yes, very important. Thank you very much. Before I ask the last question, I don't know if any of our team members have any questions. Do we have any Q&A? Precious, do we have any Q&A so that we can ask before I ask my final question for the day? Precious, are you there? Do we have any questions from those watching us in Nigeria, those watching us in the diaspora, those watching us anywhere in the world? And if any team member also have a question, please.
I've not seen any questions so far. But I
Okay.
mean, my general question to Femi is that so you've tasted the Nigerian part, and then you are looking at the also working in the the United Kingdom part. What do you think? What is your kind of like? What do you see happening in Nigeria in the next 10 years in this industry?
Okay, Ajayi, thank you for this question. So the first thing I say is what your company is doing: more locally led research. That's the first thing. We need more locally led research. And I'll use that statement I started with. Local problems require local solution. So thanks for that, for even thinking about this concept. It's awesome. Awesome. Now, the second thing in the next few years I expect to see is strengthening what we call ethical oversight. We need to strengthen ethical oversight as a government, and also gain the trust of the people, because the Trojan mistake, the government has actually not, what's the word, not um, adequately told the people why.
They have not acknowledged their part in it.
Exactly, they've not acknowledged that mistake. The Trovan, they've been back and forth everywhere, but the problem didn't just come from the company. There was an ethical mismatch, regulatory mismatch. Because at the end of the day, they said the trial was illegal. How can a trial be illegal in your country? That means something is going on. So there should be strengthening of ethical oversight and try and gain the public trust. Another thing I expect to see is that clinical research should help improve your infrastructure and build capacity in your health system. And I expect, as there are more locally led research, this will help to build capacity and also trickle down to build good infrastructures, and also trickle down to more data-driven, patient-centered care.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
that's
I think.
that's for us. That's what's informing us
Yeah,
at UCTSS. Because basically, what we want to do is to contribute to the development of the research industry in Nigeria. I know a lot of people, as you said, if you don't ask, you don't know that research is happening in Nigeria. It
yeah,
is happening, and that is why a lot of people can fly under the radar and have that type of situation that Trovan happened. But the
yeah.
thing is that what the good things that came out of that Trovan issue was that we now got NAFDAC, because it
NAFDAC,
was
yeah,
after then
exactly.
Sonjo brought in Dr. Akunyili that they now set up NAFDAC. And since
Yeah,
then, the challenge that I continue to say, and Joke can attest to this, is that NAFDAC still operates like they are operating in Nigeria like 100 years ago. They are not utilizing all of the resources that they have in terms of like campaign. Are you aware that they have a medical safety app for
yeah,
pharmacovigilance?
yeah.
So they have a medical safety app for
Okay, it was from
pharmacovigilance.
you I heard. Yeah, you
Yes,
told me. You told me about it.
I found out. And we have been reaching out to people in NAFDAC saying, look, we want to partner with you so that we can drive this information, because the people that should be using this medical safety app are not aware that it exists. So how
Yes.
will they use it? So just like you said, policies are written in Nigeria and they just file it. Implementation, improvement process, and ensuring that it is fit for purpose does not actually continue after then.
Yeah.
So that for us, it's our vision. That's what we are trying to drive, to ensure that people are aware of what are the requirements of of this industry. And as you said, clinical research is not just about drug trials in at all. It's a lot, and it contributes to the development of the industry as a whole. And it also helps us at the end of the day to practice precision medicine, because
Yeah.
as you said, local problems is solved by local content. And the understanding of the physiology or the biology of Nigerians again differs completely from the physiology of the person who lives in Russia, or who's born a Russian, or the person who lives in France or who lives in America. They're completely different entirely. And it's on us for us to take the responsibility for us to start to apply ourselves. But I still believe that, and know. Government does. I said this to someone the other day. I said, they said commercialization will help us drive more research in Nigeria. I said, but what the person that is there does not know how to go about this. They don't have that information, and they will not apply it because it is garbage in, garbage out. Let's use the previous template that was there. Let's just tick the I and move the comma from the first line to the second line, and that's it. Nobody sits down to think about something new and do a new innovation. When I have discussed this CRO with a lot of people, and they say, in Nigeria, are you all right? It will not work. I say, well, I'm going to go in there and we are going to try. Initially, our plan was that we'll speak to the pharmaceuticals to come and conduct research in Nigeria. And then we sat down, we looked at it. We had a couple of meetings, right, Joke? We had a couple of meetings and we realized that people did not know anything. So everybody only knows something within the context of just Nigeria. We can just not apply that. There's something called comparative education that we need to take from here, and then apply it to ourselves. And then we have something that works for us. So thank you very much for that. It's also our vision. We want to see that, this is continuously being driven, whether we take it is one step per day. I feel that one person per time, eventually word of mouth, we drive the work forward. So thanks very much, Femi. I don't know. Some people have some questions in the chat.
Yes, I saw some questions in the chat. We have about 2 of them. Yes, so we'll ask the first one. It says, why is it difficult for CROs in Africa to take entry-level CRAs? Why is it difficult for CROs in Africa to take entry-level CRAs? Yes.
I don't know if you want to tell in Africa challenge. It's a CRO period.
Yeah, it's like
people want you to have experience.
I'll just say what I think. Then I think Ajayi can answer that question very well because she was a manager, so she employs CRA. She employs CRA, so I know she knows she can actually hit the nail on the head.
I will speak to that. So the fact is that if you are someone who's looking to go to be a CRA, Femi said it all already. You need to train yourself. Our challenge as Nigerians is that we are used to somebody saying, I know somebody somewhere that can assist you. We don't do the work. We don't. I have seen a lot of people, when people relocate to the UK, they come with still the same 60-page CV that they used to use in Nigeria to show that they have certificate in this, they have PhD in that. They bring on. Now, if you say you want to be a CRA, the first things first, you go and sit down and watch an 8-hour YouTube video, like Femi said. Yes, and Chuck, I'm looking at your response, and you say you have been trained, and all you need is one CRO to say yes to you. We can take this offline. You can reach out to us separately, and then we will speak to you on maybe certain things that you need to do. But what I was going to say is that you have to show that you have some level of experience. What is your experience that you are going to show? You are going to tell the things that you have experienced in terms of the theory part. You have to take it from your previous job role and apply it together and say, from the previous job you had, this is the experience you've had. You have experience of like managing data, interacting with other groups, customer service and everything. When you go to the sites, this and this and this and this and this is how you can apply it. You do that and you continue to push that boundary. It's just the way it is, because clinical research is intricate and it's delicate. You don't want to bring on someone that's going to put you in trouble. If you're a CRA and you're a monitor and you do not have the experiences of identifying, first of all, what are the right protocol requirements and protocol deviations that you are seeing outside,
exactly,
you are not going to be, the only thing is that they will sack you. If it results in an adverse event, the sponsor is going to be dinged. The sponsor will be the one that, if you have an adverse event and it results in death, it's the sponsor's trial, and one clinical trial costs close to $5 billion.
Yeah.
So this is why it is intricate. So for you to get in, it's a lot of work. But as soon as you get in and you start, I have hired clinical research associates that are not experienced on the specific therapeutic areas. But I look at their CV and I look at how they took their previous experience and bring it there. And then they say, okay, we will give them a supervisor. So you have to be able to prove to somebody to say, if you supervise me enough, I can hit the ground running. But you need to be able to prove that. Right? So don't expect that, they don't hand it off at all. Yeah.
And just to add to what Ajayi just said, breaking it down in a simple term, clinical trial involves the sponsors, the CRO, and the sites. Now, as a CRA, you are depending on if you're a CRA for a sponsor or a CRO. You are the middle person between either the CRO and the site or the sponsor, the CRA, and the site. So you are like the person, you are like the image of the company there. You are the one they see. They don't really see your manager, they don't see the CEO, they don't see anybody, they see you. So for your company to throw you there, they have to trust you that you are able to do what they are sending you to do with supervision from your manager. Because the truth is that you can't know it all. As I said, you might not be experienced in that study.
Quiet.
But that's where your manager comes in to help at least guide you. But every CRO wants to ensure that the person they are sending to the site to represent them, because apart from monitoring, you're the one selecting the site with the help of your manager. You're the one doing the training with the help of your manager. You're the one doing from the setup study to the monitoring to training of all the staffs about the trial. It's you doing it with the help of your manager. So for them to trust, as I said, billions of dollars with you, they have to make sure that you're experienced enough to know what you're doing and to take good instructions from your manager. So it's not something they will just hand over to you, because billions of dollars are on the line. And every mistake, as I said, costs the company money. You might not know, but it does. So I think that's why.
I just asked, I said, where are you based? You can unmute yourself, please. Feel free. Where are you based? Is he still on the call? Okay, I don't think he's responded.
I think he's dead. That's Chucks.
Okay, yeah. So if you can let us know where you are based, we can follow up with you separately, because we are looking to train CRAs at UCTSS. We'll be happy to work with you directly and see if we can support you in the process of gaining some training. So once you are trained, okay, you are in Ghana. Okay, so let's talk after. We can reach out to you directly, and then we'll have a meeting and then see how things can work out with us. Yeah. But thank you. That was a brilliant question. I think there's another one there. We've got two others also. We have Augustine Okpara about getting into clinical research. What is the next step? Augustine, you have to let us know where you are currently, and please feel free to unmute yourself. Let us know, where are you right now, and how do you want us, what's the next step that you want us to talk about? Then we have somebody else that said, let me see. We've got somebody else that says, thank you, Dr. Femi, for this great presentation. Could you please share the link to the 8 hours video that you mentioned you have watched, so I can also watch and learn? Okay, she has a PhD in clinical trial, looking for collaboration and mentorship. Of course, Dr. Monica, where are you based?
Good morning, everybody. My PhD, lymphatic filariasis. We are looking for a drug that can cure the adult wound. I am currently with University of Health and Allied Sciences, Ghana.
Okay.
This great area of study, please.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It's really nice to meet you. Joke, please take note of her details. We'll reach out to her separately and discuss with her.
Oh,
But Femi,
definitely.
yeah. But Femi,
Then,
if you would
please,
also,
everyone, you can drop your email address so that we can reach out to you. Kindly drop your email addresses on the chat box and we can reach out to you.
I'll send the video to Ajayi.
that would be great.
I'll send
Thank
it to
you.
Ajayi. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll appreciate that. So if you drop your email, we'll be able to forward that link to everyone who's interested in having a look at that video. And as Femi said, and I second that. For me, for instance, okay, all right. So yeah, so Augustine, you are on the way already. I'm offering to meet with everybody. If you drop your email address, we'll schedule 30 minutes conversation with you and give you additional information that you feel that you need for you to go forward. Being a statistical analysis is even for us, that will be helpful for us already because we have set up a UCTMS. We are currently developing a pharmacovigilance safety system as well. So having a statistical analyst on board would really help us as well. It's just that we don't know whether we can pay your salary. We don't back to Nigeria because I love Nigeria. So I stayed 5 years on, with the company. But what I'm trying to say is that when I got that job, I went for an investigator meeting, which is where all the investigators usually gather to discuss the protocol, and they do a lot of presentations and things like that on it. And I met a few group of people, and I was like, it looks like this area is looking good, and it didn't require me to be a clinician. So I started doing more research, and I realized that the company that I was even working with was just a teeny weeny bit of the whole of the clinical research world, because they were a software developing company and they developed like the CRF systems to collect data in clinical trials. That was what the company was doing then. So I did more research and everything, found another company that provides training, clinical trial management training. They are called ParExcel. Did that training. It was a 6 months blended course, online and also visiting Berlin directly. And I got a diploma, and that was it. Sat down and I started looking for jobs with the sponsors. So you have to do your part. You have to do your part. I'm not saying go and get all the, because you see in Nigeria we like plenty titles. Professor Oluwo, discipleship, whatever, like 20 titles this long, year long. You know, it's not about titles, it's about knowledge, it's about understanding what you are trying to do. And the first thing Femi said is that if you're coming into clinical research, you have to understand why you are coming into it. It's not just the fact that I want a job, it's a place where passion comes to life. And so you have to understand, am I passionate enough? Do I want this? Is this what I want to do? And it is hard work and it requires a lot of reading. So for those of you who are interested in, like, for us to do like one-to-one clinics with you, we're happy to do that. We'll do that. We'll schedule 30 minutes call for you, and then we'll be able to sit down and kind of like pick your brain and understand what's the direction you want to go. And we'll see how we can support you there. That's part of the services that we offer. But yeah, thanks very much for the questions. Do we have any other person, any other questions from anybody else? No? Okay. All right. Joke, anything else for Femi? You're on mute.
No, not at all. Not at all. Thank you so much. We are glad that you were able to meet with us today. Thank you very much. And we look forward to subsequent collaborations and partnerships. And thank God that you said our guy is your guy. So we are together.
When your guy call you, you can't say no.
This is people's business.
You can't say.
I am innocent, though. I don't know what you are
saying. No, you just have to run and come. And thanks for having me.
so,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, but I mean, Seriously, Femi, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Yeah.
when we set out on this, we were not sure about the direction, but I just felt that based on our previous relationship, based on how much we worked together, I felt people needed to hear from you because I've seen your journey, from Nigeria to the UK and what you are still doing. And like I said, I'm not looking for the big wigs. I'm not looking for, those who have like the 300 years experience. How much experience do I? That's not what I'm looking for. I just want
our small
people
experience.
people who are actually focused. They have a direction to share that information, with every other person. So I really appreciate your time, taking
Thank
out
you.
time on a Saturday, to do this for us. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much,
We'll be
everyone.
calling
Thank
on
you.
you again soon.
No worries. I will run anytime you call me. I'll run. I'll run and come. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you, everybody that joined us today. We really appreciate, again, everybody taking out time to join us. We are going to have a recording of this. So in case you need to go back to, check some of the questions that were asked of Dr. Femi. And if you have additional questions at all, please reach out to us directly. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook. And our numbers on our websites. We are planning to open up a WhatsApp channel where everybody can kind of throw their inputs in that space there. So we will add you on as well since we have your details as well. But thank you so much, and I wish you a good rest of the day. Thank you. You okay?
Thank you.
Back to you. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So once we are ready to put out the flyer for the next month's webinar, we'll send this to your mail. Please kindly acknowledge and follow us accordingly. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye-bye.